Hi, how are you? Fraser here. Today I'm counting down my top 5 most anticipated PlayStation 4 games of 2018. If you want to see more video game related content, whether that be gameplay videos, reviews, or further details about these games, just let me know in the comments below. Starting off at number 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. The only non-PS4 exclusive to make my top 5, players will play as Arthur Morgan, an outlaw and a member of the Vanderlyn gang. And many suspect, as this is a prequel, that we will see many of the events that took place in the build-up to John Marston's story, who was the protagonist from the previous game. Other than that, not much more is known at this current time. This was meant to be released in the fall of 2017, got moved to spring of 2018, and just last week got delayed again to October. Rockstar have apologised for this latest delay and have promised that they will stick with this October release. Hopefully they do, as I for one am really looking forward to this latest open world western with current generation graphics. Just sign me up. Number 4, God of War. Compared to the previous games in the franchise, the gameplay mechanics and look of this latest game have had a complete reimagining. But this is not a reboot. Scheduled to be released in March, this upcoming installment of the God of War action-adventure series is a continuation of Kratos' story. However, I think it's worth noting that based on everything that they've released so far, newcomers can enter the franchise at this late stage and understand most of what's going on. I've only ever played bits and pieces of the previous games, so as someone who is pretty much a newcomer myself, I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on this and witnessing a fleshed out story that looks really intimate and character driven, which is always a plus in my books. The protagonist Kratos is leaving behind Greek mythology and entering a new setting, a world of Norse gods. As for the gameplay, like I said, it's had a huge overhaul. Instead of the traditional hack and slash fighting mechanics of the franchise, it will be a more free-flowing combat system. As for the world itself, it will still have a linear environment, but it will promote more exploration whilst you play, much like Sony's Uncharted franchise. And finally, another really cool aspect about this game, the game's director Cory Barlog has confirmed that there will be no camera cuts at all, meaning that it will be seamless transitions between cutscenes and gameplay, and the cutscenes themselves will appear as one complete shot. Now I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty freaking cool to me. Number 3, The Last of Us Part 2. Naughty Dog's next game, the sequel to 2013's The Last of Us. Not much is currently known about this game. We know that Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson will be reprising their roles as Joel and Ellie, and it will take place roughly 5 years after the events of Part 1. It is currently unclear if The Last of Us Part 2 will meet its original slated release of 2018, as many fans have been speculating that it will be delayed until 2019 due to the lack of gameplay information released thus far. I think it's worth noting that director of the game, Neil Druckmann, revealed at Sony's PSX in December that we will be getting our first look of gameplay at this year's E3 in June. So we will likely find out then when it's coming out and if it has in fact been delayed. Number 2, Days Gone. This is definitely going to be a day one purchase for me, an open world action adventure single player game with zombies. Okay, I say zombies, but technically they are referred to as freakers, which the developers have said are different from zombies, even though they look like zombies to me. Anyway, this is a post-apocalyptic game set a couple of years after the apocalyptic event, so society is still in the process of rebuilding or possibly falling further apart. And so far from what we've seen, I've personally found that this game will remind you of Sons of Anarchy meets World War Z. Sam Witwer, who has voiced Darth Maul in the animated TV shows Star Wars Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, voices the main character of Days Gone, Deacon St. John, who is a broken man that has pretty well had everything taken away from him. And while there is still much to learn about the story and customization options, if there are any, this game looks like a lot of fun. They've created a very dynamic game where everything is constantly changing and no two playthroughs will be the same. Day-night cycles and weather systems are just a couple of the many things that will influence the environment and how it will impact on your gameplay. And there's a freaking zombie bear! Need I say more? And finally, number 1 on our list, SpiderMan. This is an original game where you get to play as everybody's favorite webhead, Spider-Man. When I say original, I mean it's not connected to the movie universe or any previous games. This is a fresh take on the character. It will also be the start of the Marvel gaming universe, will feature a free roaming New York City with current generation graphics, and have a gameplay system very reminiscent of the Batman Arkham video games, but with its own unique Spidey spin on it. I don't think I've ever been this excited for a video game this much in my entire life. The developer behind this one is Insomniac Games, who have brought us video games such as Ratchet & Clank, Spyro, Resistance, and more recently Sunset Overdrive for the Xbox. They have been put in charge of this project, and apparently it's their biggest production team to date for a single game. I've watched many online interviews from the creators behind this, and you can tell everyone in this team has a huge love for the character. Creative Director at Insomniac Games, Brian Intihar, and Executive Creative Director at Marvel Games, Bill Roseman, have said again and again the best Spider-Man stories are the ones where Peter Parker's and Spider-Man's worlds collide. And you can already see from the trailers and the gameplay video that that's exactly the kind of personal and human story that we will be getting. And I, for one, cannot wait to own this. So that does it for me. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of my list and what video games you are most looking forward to this year. Doesn't necessarily have to be PS4 games. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button, follow me on social media, and subscribe to my channel so you can keep up to date with my future content. See you next time.